So sometimes you're on the go and you want to leave a voice note and get a summarization of that voice note in whatever format that you wish. Well, you can do exactly that by building out your own voice note summarizer on Telegram through n8n. So what you see on my screen is exactly that, a very simple 6-step automation that anyone can create on n8n. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to build this out. So if you want to learn how to do this, make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you want to continue plugging yourself into AI for better productivity and creativity. So let's just get started. So in this automation, what it does is it's going to pull a voice note trigger from Telegram. It's going to then retrieve that file and send it over to a ChatGPT. And then once it sends that over to the ChatGPT model, it will then summarize the voice note and send it back to your Telegram channel. So just to show you just how this works, I'll do a basic test where I will read through this article, just basic parts of this article, and it's going to summarize based off of how I've trained it. So let me just pull up my phone here, and then I'm going to read through some parts of this article just to show you that it can actually pull different data points as well and really do a great job in summarizing the voice note. So let me record. So Gartner finds most companies are using supervised AI, not fully autonomous agents. Despite the hype, many IT leaders are avoiding fully autonomous agents and are sticking to supervised AI deployments. There's actually some research that says that 15% are considering piloting or deploying fully autonomous agents, compared with around 75% for all AI agent types. AI agents aren't also here to take your job. There are nearly twice as many, 12%, that see them replacing workplace applications instead. And in an increasingly connected world where we hear of new cyber attacks on a daily basis, about 3/4 noted concerns that AI just provides a new attack vector. Workers' concerns around job security aren't warranted though. Salesforce and Lufthansa have both committed to cutting around 4,000 workers each due to the AI. The study did not acknowledge previous technological disruptions occurred over the decades, and there's no substantial acceleration in the rate of change in the composition of the labor market. On the whole, Yale called job anxiety speculative and lacking in any compelling evidence. And so that was a 1-minute, 11-second voice note that went through. And if I go back to the automation and I execute it, it's going to wait for an event to come in. It detected this voice note coming in. Now it's getting the file. It's then transcribing the file to put that voice note into text format. And then it was going to go summarize this based off of the prompt that I provided. And then it's going to send it back to my Telegram bot. Now, if I open up Telegram here, you'll see here's the 1-minute, 11-second file. And then you see it's created a summary of that voice note. You see all the different points here, surprising fact. Main content, how companies are using AI, only 15%. So it is picking up the different data points as well. And then payoff and the close. Now, the reason why it has a hook, main content, and payoff is because the way that I've prompted this is to create a YouTube script outline. But you can change this up however way you wish, and you don't need to follow this exact format. I'm just here to show you how you can actually make use of n8n to create this sort of voice note summarizer. Now, starting from the beginning, what we're going to do is delete everything so I can walk you through step by step how to go about creating these automations. And the very first step is a trigger node. So you can type in Telegram and you hit Telegram and you find the trigger node. And so you can get message, or let's get on message. So the trigger here and an on message, and it has a little lightning bolt to indicate that it is a trigger node. So you can click that, and then once you click that, you make sure your Telegram account is set up. I do talk about this in another video, which I won't explain here. Make sure to check it out in the annotations on how to set up a Telegram account and Telegram bot. Once you have that, you just click OK. I'll call this the voice note trigger. And then boom, now we have the very first step. And so the next step here is to search for an if node, and you hit that if node and make sure it goes to the string and says is not empty. And also make sure to toggle this little button here, convert types when required. So right now you'll notice that there isn't any data here, so I'm going to execute the previous nodes. It might not run because no new voice note has come in. I'm going to have to record a new voice note. I'll just read through. So there's rising cybersecurity concerns. Around 75% of respondents worry that AI introduces a new attack vector. The real impact of AI may be more about transforming workflows and apps than replacing entire job roles. So I'll just send that over. So it does detect a new voice note. Let's go back to this and execute the previous note. And now it should be able to detect a new voice note. So boom, you see here, now the data has come in. And the main areas that you need to pay attention to is here, voice, as well as the chat ID, but we'll talk about that after. The area that you want to get is the voice and the file ID. You want to pull the file ID here. So just drag and drop that into the conditions. And then that is it for the if. So you can rename this as if voice note detected. If you're using a Telegram bot to also get other chats inside of your bot, you want to have this as a safety measure, because if you don't put this, it's going to try to detect any message from your Telegram bot. And maybe your Telegram bot has actual messages on it or other automations being sent through it. So this is only going to detect if a voice note was detected. And then the next step from here is then to go from true and go to Telegram, open up Telegram, and then let's type in file, get a file. So you see this get a file here, open that up, and then get the file ID. So execute the previous node, and then get the file ID here. And then if you execute this step, this little box should show up like so. Keep in mind, the file ID is where you're going to be placing in the if node, but also in the get a file node. And make sure you understand what the name of this, in this case, the name is data or data. And so this is going to be important for the next step, because what you're going to do is you're going to type in OpenAI and get a ChatGPT node and type in transcribe. So transcribe a recording. And so the input data field name should be the same name as this little box. So here, if the name is data, then the name here should be data. So that's really about it. All you have to do is set that up. So if I were to run this, you're going to see some text based off of the voice note that I just did. So here you see this is exactly what I had stated in the voice note. So the next step right after that is then go back to the node setup and then open AI and then message, type in message and message a model. Once you have that set up, you just have to choose the model that you want. So I'll choose ChatGPT 4o for this, and then input a prompt that you want. So what I did earlier in my example was what I wanted it to create a outline off of the voice note, because I wanted to use the voice note as an ideator, so I can just put out my thoughts, and then what the Telegram voice note will do is create an outline for a YouTube script. Let me just pull the original prompt. This is what the prompt that I had done in my voice note. So what I do is I clean up and make sense of the voice note transcript. Whoops, this should be make sense of the voice note transcript input, and then convert the content into a clear bullet point outline. This will be used as an outline for a video script idea to go on YouTube. And then I give it instructions, do not include the opener. So what this does is it prevents the AI from saying those things like, oh, I'll create an outline for you. It'll get rid of those unnecessary fluff sentences. And then I also give it an exact outline format. And this is where you can customize it the way that you want. And then here, if you notice the transcript, I've actually inputted the transcript from the text here. So what I would do is I would drag on the left here, you drag this node and you bring this over here. Whoops, let me just open this back up. I would get this text, drag it over here, and that would bring the JSON text. So if I were to close that, then I can also untoggle this simplify output, because you don't want it to simplify the output. You want it to get you want it to get as much information as possible from the text. And so I can close this. And then the last step here is now sending it back to Telegram. So if I were to type Telegram, and then I can say message, and I can then send a text message. And now it's going to open up this node, and I'll execute the previous nodes just so I can get some data back in. Let's just wait for this to come through. Boom. And now the text itself should be the content. So if you see here, choices, message, and content, this is the summarized content. You plug that into the text value here. And when it comes to the chat ID, you just go back to the original node, so the voice note trigger, and then you find the chat ID under chat and ID, and then you plug that back here. And that's about it. So once you press execute, boom, you should be able to get an output. And it seems like I got a notification on my Telegram. If I open my Telegram up, you'll see this is the 12-second example voice note I've recorded. And here is the output based off of the outline format that I did with the hook, the setup, the main content, the payoff, and the close. You don't need to follow this format of how the outline should look. You can customize it the way you wish, but this is just an example of how to get a voice note summarizer on Telegram. Now all I do is tidy this up and voila, you have a very basic automation set up in less than 10 minutes. Now if you enjoyed this, make sure to check out my other video where I talk about how to create a custom newsfeed on Telegram through n8n. And if you like videos like this, subscribe to the channel to plug yourself into AI for greater productivity and creativity.